Right guys, I've neglected Brexit recently and fully expect a sellout because let's be honest, deadlines are always going to slip. It's what the Tories do after all. Labour would have obviously been far worse had they got in power because we would have had no Brexit and we would never be allowed out of our homes in case any of us got ill. You could just imagine the disaster that would be when you consider how much of a disaster Boris Johnson has been. Jeremy Corbyn would have made Idi Amin look like Tinkerbell, I am sure. But Boris went over to Brussels yesterday to have a chat with EU trout Ursula von der Leyen on her back, in the hopes of getting a deal done, which we knew was never going to happen. Unless, of course, Boris Johnson capitulated completely last night. Luckily for us he didn't, but there is still time to do it, so don't get your hopes up just yet. They are obviously claiming for the 100th time that Sunday is the final deadline and we leave on no deal if nothing is sorted by then. I struggle to believe it because, like I said, it is the 100th time they've said it, and we know at this point Boris Johnson doesn't want a no-deal Brexit and never did. In fact, I think he wants a deal as much as Maybot, if you ask me. But there is good news though, because it was announced this morning that the UK has signed a £17.6 billion trade deal with Singapore, so that is in the bag. So much for us being left behind, hey Ramonas. We've now got deals in multiple countries, including Japan, New Zealand, Australia, and now Singapore, showing as we always knew, the UK can thrive on its own, as it has always done. It's not often these days you can praise the government, but getting trade deals is certainly a good thing. It's a shame they haven't done anything good anywhere else so far. Now the EU are saying if we leave on a deal, we will be banned from going on holiday in Europe, which is fine by me and actually made me laugh. Because last I checked, the tourist hotspots of Europe need British holiday makers in normal years, let alone when your country has been closed for most of the year and no one's making money in the hospitality sectors. So I've got to say, what a smart move it is, banning people who spend a fair bit of money when they're on holiday. I am sure though there are plenty of other countries out there ready to take Brits' money. For European nations and the people who rely on British tourists, the EU is certainly shooting them in the foot with this move, and big time. But as I was saying, Johnson and Ursula von der Leyen on her back met last night looking to sort out a deal, but have since claimed large gaps remain between them, so no deal could be on from Sunday, as The Guardian have said here. But obviously, this is the minimum we expect since Boris Johnson is there to argue for our sovereignty and the EU wants us to continue as a vassal state. If they are not far apart, then Boris Johnson is obviously selling us out, which is why this could all be a bit of political pantomime before they sign a deal at the last minute, claiming they had no time to do anything but agree on this and that, which will be a complete sellout and Brexit in name only if that happens, let me tell you. It would also show Boris Johnson never had no deal on the table and was just talking shit. Boris could well say we leave on no deal on Sunday, but I still consider that highly unlikely, though he would be well within his rights to do so for a number of reasons. But the most recent one being the EU contingency plans in case of no deal, which have been labelled blackmail by some backbench Tory MPs, and to me seem like extending the transition period in all but name. The Telegraph actually covered it here, so let's take a look at that. It headlines: EU accused of blackmail over no deal contingency plans. Why does that not surprise me in the slightest? A group of backbench Conservative MPs have blasted the European Commission for trying to blackmail the UK into a trade deal, following the publication of no-deal contingency plans. The European Commission is proposing to effectively extend the status quo on fishing, air and road connectivity and other areas, warning of significant uncertainty over talks. Included in the no-deal contingency plan published this morning, Brussels has proposed a 12-month period for continued reciprocal access to fishing waters if an agreement is not reached before. Publishing the plan, Commission President Ursula von der Leyen on her back tweeted, "Negotiations are still ongoing, but the end of the transition is near. There is no guarantee that if and when an agreement is found, it can enter into force on time. We have to be prepared, including for not having a deal in place on January 1st. But ERG spokesman David Jones said it was blackmail and piratical behaviour. This just shows how desperate they are, doesn't it? It's clear they are desperate. They are to do a deal. All they need to do is treat us like any other third countries they have deals with." The Clyde West MP added, "I'm pretty sure the response the Prime Minister will give is that the country does not buckle in the face of intimidation, threats and blackmail. That is not how we do business." Which obviously is exactly what he did. He said that's never going to happen, you can stick it up your ass. Well, obviously he didn't say it in those exact words, but essentially that's what he's getting at. Obviously, we will have to wait and see if that is the case. But I'm sure the EU trying to blackmail us doesn't surprise any of you lot. It certainly didn't surprise me. And we know they want things to essentially stay the same as they are. I've been worried for the last few weeks that Boris Johnson would agree to another transition, if not in name, but it would be there in practice. As it stands, that might not be the case. We will have to wait and see. Hopefully, Sunday comes and Boris leaves on no deal. Like I said though, it is not likely.
There is a pattern consistent throughout history of oppressed people turning on the oppressors. Slaves against their owners, the peasantry against the feudal barons, colonies, Mr. Verhofstadt, against their empires. And that is why Britain is leaving. And it doesn't matter which language you use, we are going, and we are glad to be going. We're off.